Hello and thanks for joining me, Phil Spencer, for this episode where I'm going to be discussing the options open to renters when it comes to that chunky old deposit. Should you stump up the cash or plumb for an alternative? But before I get into that, do please subscribe to this channel to make sure you don't miss the latest advice on all things home related. If you're on YouTube, click the bell for notifications of each new post. MoveIQ are partnering with Canopy in this series, who aim to make life easier for renters. And today we're looking at deposits and asking, is it better to put down a cash deposit or avoid tying up your money by using a deposit alternative scheme? There's a link below with more details about Canopy's deposit-free offering. Now, there's no doubt that finding the money for a deposit is likely to be the biggest upfront expense for anyone renting a property. The deposit is usually equivalent to 5 weeks' rent. An average is just over £1,000 in England and Wales and a hefty £1,750 in London. But these days, there are an increasing number of products on the market offering alternatives to the traditional deposit. So I wanted to have a bit of a look at the pros and cons of each. With a traditional rent deposit, you're likely to raise your own savings or borrow from friends and family, and this money will therefore stay locked up for the whole of your tenancy, or at least until you move on. The advantage is that at the end of your tenancy, if you return the property in good condition and are up to date with the rent and everything else, then the deposit is returned to you in full, so you can then use the money as a deposit on your next rental or spend it in other ways. Deposit alternative schemes, on the other hand, mean you have to find a much smaller amount, usually equivalent to just 1 week's rent. Deposit alternatives are, in effect, insurance schemes, for want of a better description. In return for the sum paid by the tenant to start the scheme, the provider gives the landlord cover for any damage or arrears up to the equivalent of 6 to 8 weeks' rent. More than a traditional deposit then. If there's any dispute about alleged damage or unpaid rent when the tenancy ends, most deposit alternative schemes use an independent arbitration system. Not having to find a large lump sum could mean that you're able to look actually at a wider choice of properties, perhaps larger places or more expensive locations. But the one-off fee is non-returnable, and with some schemes there are small monthly charges too, which of course can add up over time. I think it's fair to say there has been criticism of some schemes which bury information about a monthly fee in the small print, so I'm always saying make sure you check out any deposit alternative very carefully. By the way, agents and landlords cannot insist you use a deposit alternative. Since the introduction of the Tenant Fees Act, it's your choice whether you go for a traditional deposit or an alternative. Some schemes are regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, and you may find that reassuring. I think many people would. And there are schemes with additional benefits, like critical illness cover. Canopy's deposit-free product is regulated by the FCA and is in fact the only product in the market that protects you, the renter, as well as the landlord. For more details about deposit-free renting, click the link below. As always, thanks for tuning in. Any questions, please do leave me a comment. Otherwise, I'll see you next time when I shall be sharing more of my advice for renters. Thanks for watching.